Of our Gorilla Platoon members came to us looking like this, and after losing 18 kilograms in 23 weeks, he then looked like this. Now, what I first and foremost want to say to you, this is important. It's important you do not walk around at 25% body fat, for the love of God. It is not going to do any good for your mental health. Every time you look in the mirror, you're going to stand there with sheer disappointment, and you will accept lower standards for yourself in other areas of your life. You will let people treat you less than because you're out of shape. You will let people walk over you that you wouldn't do because you're out of shape, because that's how you see yourself. The reason you're out of shape right now, and I'll come straight up with the biggest piece of advice, is because you lack integrity for yourself. When you say you will do it, you don't do it. Therefore, you don't trust your word. Therefore, you don't respect yourself. Therefore, you let other people disrespect you. And that's why you live a life that you're not too happy with. Dropping body fat, getting a six-pack is much, much more than taking cute pictures for your Instagram. It is about you doing something that you said you'd do consistently over a base period of time, living like the 2.0 version of you, the better version of you, because that is the version of you that's going to tell people to shut up. It's going to tell people you don't stand for that, and it's going to tell people that you are to be respected. And when you command that from the world will give that back to you. The world is simply just a mirror of how you act in accordance with like things that you're okay with. So it's more than just dropping body fat for the sake of dropping body fat. It's more than just getting a six-pack. It's what the six-pack resembles. This is one of the biggest things we instill in our Gorilla Platoon members. In fact, this is one of the main steps we do. We fix your mindset first so that you can then believe that you are the man that deserves it second. Act like he who is, and you will have then the results that he then does. But I'm going to give you exactly how to act and what to do in this video. So let's dive straight in. The very first thing that you will do, and what we do with Gorilla Platoon members when they join, is we will establish a start point. This is very, very important. You draw a hard line in the sand. And I tell you right now, as soon as you go and take those front, side, and back photos, you will have a look in the mirror and think, oh my goodness. When you actually look at it in a photo form, you'll think, how on earth did I get to this point? And you need to have that feeling. You need to have that Groundhog Day where you're like, enough is enough. And that's the beauty of taking these photos. So they'll send us their photos, they'll send us their scale weight. We will then establish a goal point from the start point. For him, I actually probably thought he was leaner than he was. I said 25%, we pulled off 18 kilos to get to around 10. More than likely, he was probably anywhere between 27, 28%. From there, you will establish a starting scale weight that you want to aim for. How will you do this? Body fat percentage, minus, or overall scale weight minus body fat percentage plus goal body fat percentage. So in his case, he started out at 88 kg. So we would then take that off. For him to get to 10%, we want to hit 70 kg. That was the main mission that we wanted to do. We knew we needed to pull off 18 kilograms of body fat. You're going to do exactly the same. Obviously, if that's how much you need to pull off, but you're going to take your lean mass, so body fat, minus the overall scale weight, that's then going to give you your lean mass. Times that, or add, the percentage of body fat you want to hit, which for you is probably going to be 10%. That's now your goal scale weight. Current scale weight, goal scale weight. And for a male, mostly that's you that watch my channel, for anyone that is above at least 60 kilos, you can expect to drop around 1 kilogram per week until you get closer towards the end of the transformation, in which it will start to slow down. Likewise, if you're starting out and you're a male and you're in the 60 kgs, just aim for a more 1% of the overall scale weight will be suitable. So you're first and foremost going to establish your body fat. You're also going to go into the gym and you're going to establish your baseline numbers. Do not go in there and try and lift the world, because you will get in, you'll get demotivated, your form will be off, and you'll get sore as fuck and you will quit. The art of the beginning phase is easing you into it so you would actually stick to it. If you go in and shoot your load too quick, you will not stick to it. You'll burn out and you'll quit too soon. So go in there and establish baseline numbers. This is, you have your training split. For him, we actually ran him a 4-day split. I always say you either want to train a 3, a 4, or a 5. The 3-day is for those of you that are brand new to training and can only train 3 days. The 4 days is for those of you that have been training at least a year plus and or can only train 4 days like he could, or those of you that have been training 18 months plus and can train 5 days, then you do the 5-day split. So his split, we ran full body push, everything on the front of the body, everything on the back of the body, full body pull. So the 2 sessions there. Go in and establish baseline numbers, leave a couple of reps in reserve. The third thing you're going to do when you establish your start point is you're going to establish a new routine. Most of you do not have a routine. Most of you live life purely off the cuff and then wonder why you never get anything done. It's because you don't know your arse from your elbow. You are just winging it day to day. You do not have a plan, and if you don't have a plan, you can expect to fail. You've heard the saying a million times, but no one actually applies it. So the very first thing we did is, and this is what we do for members when they join, we will create the new timetable for you. This is in accordance with the 2.0 version of you, the athlete version of you. Because then you know, and where does this come from? It comes from my time going through becoming a British paratrooper. We would literally script out a full day of what would get done from the moment we wake up to the moment that we go to bed. We knew what we were on for every minute of the day. At 6 a.m. you'll wake up. It was at 5 a.m. you will wake up. At 5:15 you will clean the block. At 5:30 you'll do water parade. At 5:45 you go to breakfast, etc., etc., all the way through the day. So everything had its point, its time, its place, and you knew what you were on. Therefore, you can cram a hell of a lot of stuff into a very short period of time. A lot of you will say you don't have time. You do, you've just not organized that time correctly. So you're wasting time here and there with your inefficiencies. If I was to watch you for a day, it would look like you don't have time, but I guarantee it's because you didn't plan properly. A lot of the stuff you are doing is noise, it is garbage, and you are just simply wasting your time. Be intentional with your time. From this day forward, after watching this video, structure your day for the next 24 hours. Put in there when you'll wake up, when you go to bed. That way you'll get your 8 hours because you structured it in there. Put in there when you will go and walk and do your 10,000 steps. Put in there when you're training at what time and what workout you're going to be doing. So you're going in there with a plan with intent. Put in there when you're going to do your cardio. Put in there when you'll eat your meals, and put in there when you'll prep your meals. Put in there your family time. Don't use your family as an excuse for not being in shape. Most people do this, it's completely wrong. If anything, if you have a family, you should be training harder because you have people that you care about that live around you for a long period of time. Therefore, they are going to see you daily and they are going to copy what you do. If you have young children, they're going to copy what you do. They are very impressionable. And if they see you with tits and a piss tank eating garbage, they will be a product of their environment because they don't know any different. You can't expect a child to become an athlete when the people around it are all sloths. It's just not going to happen. If anything, if you have a family, you should be doing this harder. You should be up early. You should be leading the way, walking the walk. We did a Gorilla Platoon we're doing a Gorilla Platoon meet-up last weekend where we went up the Lake District in England. I was chatting with one of our members and he literally says he lives and breathes this lifestyle so his kids will follow. Once his kids walked into the kitchen and said to him, "Oh, Daddy, I really want to get into running and be fit like you." He's like, "Come on then, let's get your trainers on." And straight out and straight into running. That's the type of household you want to lead. You want to be that leader, the advocate, but most of you are 30% body fat as you watch this video. We must change that. We must. It's not about a six-pack. It's about you being a leader for your family. That's what this is really about. It's about being a leader for the people in your friendship group, your cohort, the people at work. Like, let's be honest, who's going to respect you more at work? A boss that's in shape or a boss that's out of shape? Even if you're amazing at your job, fine, absolutely great. But if you were in a little bit more shape, you'd get a lot more respect. It's just the way the world works. So we must understand that you must schedule out that routine in accordance with the new version of you and in accordance with the 2.0 version of you. You live like that for 24 hours, obviously 7 days a week, until you finish the transformation. Into this second phase, build out the structured plan. This is the specific meal plan that you're going to eat. When you set your meal plan out, what I want you to do, because your calories will be very specific to you. But let's say, for argument's sake, you will establish your starting point. If you are anywhere from 30% body fat and above, honestly, like I can almost, because I've done this that many times, I can almost blanket how much calories you're going to need to start with. For you, somewhere around like 2,000, 2,100 calories will be absolutely fine. How do you work out your protein target? This is one big question we have online. For someone that's 30% body fat, 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein isn't really useful. It's too much for what you need. Instead, go off like your height in centimeters. If you're 20% body fat, then fine, that metric will work. Personally, I like to take someone's scale weight minus their body fat times their lean mass by 2.4, and that's how I establish someone's starting protein amount. When you're piecing together your diet, put in your protein target first. So you're going to eat whole foods. That's going to be the main thing that's going to make up your diet. You have lean options of protein: chicken, turkey, tuna, whitefish. I guess you could say protein powder, but ideally, those are good for sure as a supplement. They're absolutely fine. And then we have fattier options, which obviously yogurt depends if it's got the fat in or out, can be a lean or a fatty option. Steak, salmon, and whole eggs. Obviously, egg whites being a lean option. They're the foods you're going to pick from to piece together your protein target. Make sure your protein target's met first, then piece together the rest of the diet. When you set your fats, you're going to set your overall fat target to 20% of the starting calories. It's going to give you a nice, healthy amount of fats. What are you going to make the diet up with fats? Egg yolks, avocados, nuts, and or if you did use a fattier protein like salmon or steak, then you'll have fat in that, obviously. When you piece together your carbs, that will make up the rest of the diet. Carbs are not sinister. Carbs are absolutely needed. They're needed for performance in the gym. They're needed to bring down cortisol just after the gym. So schedule out the food that you're going to eat for that. I would say stick to really fibrous filling foods, because when you're in a deficit, you're going to need something that's going to pack you out. So we're talking oats in the morning, some form of potato later on in the evening. Rice is great, digests really well, but you just don't get that much of it. Same with pasta, you don't get that much of it either. Also not as clean options and as nutrient dense as oats and potato. Then I would use fruits as the rest. If you're happy to spend like a bit more money, things like berries will work really well, very nutrient dense. Or you've got kiwis or pineapple. Regress back from that one step, you've got bananas, better for more of a pre-workout because they'll digest very, very quickly. Same for raisins, same for dates. And then you've also got apples as well. And that is generally what I piece together the diet off. I said if you were around 30% body fat, you're going to start about 2,100 calories. For him, we actually started him, and bearing in mind, I started him at 25%, but maybe he was a bit more. We actually started him at 2,355 calories to begin with. That was like the middle ground. And if you are around 25%, that is what I would say to start at. If you're at 20%, you can more than likely get away from starting about 2,450, 2,500. Now, the first week, honestly, is just an estimate anyway. How are you actually going to know your true reflection? Because you're going to weigh yourself every day. You weigh yourself daily, see how the scale weight adjusts off of that amount of calorie target, and you'll make the manipulations as you go. If you don't see a drop off in the very first week, more than likely you did start the food too high. Regress 200 calories from your carbohydrates to begin with. Now, when it comes to setting your training program, we discuss which one you should do. Depends on how many days you can train and your training age. For him, we did a full body push, everything on the front of the body, full body pull, everything on the back of the body. When you go through the plan, you will also set up with cardio. So we ensured that he started with 20 minutes of formal cardio, keep your heart rate 120 to 130, and use something that's non-impact, because you could be doing this daily, or you're going to at least bolster the minutes to do 140 per week. Additionally, you'll do 10,000 steps, not integrate them together. You do 10,000 steps, and then you're going to make sure that you've scheduled your routine to get enough sleep. So we establish a start point. We then built out the structured plan. From there, what we do is we keep them accountable in two forms. The first is with a formal weekly check-in. This is where every week you submit your photos and you get to see the progress that you're making, the reduction in the midsection. Initially, do not be married to the change in your visuals, because they won't be drastic in the first few weeks. But what you can see is if you put your side photos together, you're going to see more of a change there. Where you're going to find the motivation and the progress from is the drop in the scale weight, and things like your belt loops and your shirts will fit better, and people will actually notice it before you notice it on yourself. You'll also then answer a question check-in sheet so we can see what was your human response behind it. How did you feel on plan? What were the constraints? What were the challenges? And I always ask people, what challenge have you got coming up for the next week? Because if you're not proactive with this, life will pull you from pillar to post and you won't know your elbow from your arsehole. So we must make sure we already think what could trip us up, what could stop us from getting to the goal, and make a plan for that so we can move around it. When you do that consistently and you gain the momentum, you won't get tripped up and you will actually be able to make that progress. Now, we also like to check in on a weekly basis to assess the training clips, because if most of you, the way you train, you'll just go in there and you'll move weights like a sewing machine. You're like boom, 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 and you just won't really put any tension on the working muscle. So when you're training, slow it down. Lift from the top, 3, 2, 1, pause at the bottom, drive back up to the top. Everything with intent. Every rep you do needs to be intentional. Don't think I'm going in there to get good at the weight. Think I'm going in there to use the weight to grow muscle. Try and flip the script with it. The same way, a lot of you, if you train with dumbbells, you need to flip the script of where you feel it. Don't think, I don't really feel it when I push to the top. These exercises are hardest at the bottom, so focus on the bottom phase of the movement. We'll also refine to check the arm path is good and you're actually training the working muscle. Just think to simplify all training, think where does it start, where does it finish? Like if it's your chest is going to start here, it's going to run across your rib cage, inserts onto your upper arm. So don't push the weight up and down like this. Instead think I need to bring my upper arm towards my chest. That's thinking about the start and the end of the muscle. Don't overcomplicate it. You can clearly see where each muscle starts and finish. Just simply bring the two together with weight. And then, of course, we're checking to train that you actually train hard enough. I know most of you don't train hard enough because if you train by yourself, you probably get to like a rep or two short. You're kind of hot, you're kind of sweaty, and you just stop anyway. It will reflect on your body. Those that actually go in and train like a savage to the point you can't get another rep out, it shows you will grow solid muscle. If you ever think I'm not making progress, generally it's your fault and you're not training hard enough. Then from there, we want to be reviewing and keeping things on the straight and narrow. So we'll check in once a week, but we'll also touch base midway through the week. A little WhatsApp check-in, make sure things are moving smoothly. If they're not, then we may need to make a quick change, or there may have been some challenge that comes up that we need to address so we can then keep moving forward. There will also be, because we work with human beings here, there'll be something that comes up where you had an event to go to, you went fucking camping, you had your sister's birthday, and we need to put a plan in place for this. If it's something catastrophic where you must eat out, the rule is always the same. You're going to need to ultimately look after future you and suffer a little bit more today. So you're going to remove a little bit of food, 100, 200 calories, and bank those for the weekend. I wouldn't say try and do more cardio because you'll just drive a shit ton of fatigue. Now, let's say we've planned for those in the check-in. There will come a point where the plan doesn't really work. It stops working. And this is probably the key critical bit where most of you will fuck it up. What you're going to do is you either decide to push more output in the form of cardio, so you go 20 minutes a day to 30 minutes a day, then to 40 minutes a day. But it'll get to a point where your routine is going to be challenged from doing that much cardio. So then look at pulling from food. I either go for fats first, because we start with 20%, which is a heavy amount, so you can keep carbs high to drive performance high. Pulling down, it depends on the size of the human being, but in his case, let's say we'd pull it down 200 calories to begin with. The closer we get towards the end, the more I'll go down to like 100 calorie drop off just to make that change. But you want to get the most out of each change you make. So don't make changes every week trying to preempt it. You must always be reactive to what your body's doing to the plan. Assess the data for 7 days. If it didn't make the change, pull 200 calories and then you're going to see progression the next week on. But if it's working, rinse the life out of it for as long as humanly possible because it won't work forever. The body, and specifically the metabolism, is a very clever thing. It will adapt to whatever you put it on. This is why most of you motherfuckers have put your metabolism in the bin. You taught it to basically live off 1,800 calories while you technically were eating 2,500, but the other calories you're eating were utter garbage. So you trained it to last off very little. So then when you try to go lower, it doesn't really respond. Because you've essentially burned it out and it thinks, oh, well, I need to store this fat because this motherfucker's always starving me from actual nutrients. That's a side note. That's why most of you don't really respond to fat loss. And I've made many videos on like how to actually fix that issue, so you can check them out after. And essentially we reviewed the plan week in, week out until he got down to the goal. For us, it took 23 weeks to go through this process, dropped off 18 kilograms, and then he looked like a brand new individual. You may ask what happens then. When you hit the very end, you take your final photos and you're fucking happy as Larry, you're then going to go into a reverse phase. This is where you start to staircase. So at the minute, you've got output sky high, food really low. You need to find a balance between the two, and you're going to slowly bring food back up. You're going to bring cardio down, but don't completely take it out. Each week, like you did on the way out, add 200 calories, bring down 10 minutes of cardio until you find a sweet balance. Sit at that for a few weeks, and then from there, prime and decide what your next goal is. Is it you want to go into a gaining phase? Do you want to stay lean and nimble and go into some athletic sport or more to some distance training? Whatever that looks and feels like, you will then pick your next goal from there. But that's essentially a process of a Gorilla Platoon member that comes to us 25, 27, 28% body fat, pulls off 18 kilograms, and now looks like an athlete. So if you want to come join us, you want us to do this for you, there'll be a link in the description. As we turn up daily, we'll see you tomorrow.